All right, today we're diving into the psychology of the quiet mind. We're going to talk about why some of those habits that might seem a little weird are actually signs of a really powerful inner world.
You ever get that feeling that your brain is just running on a totally different operating system than everybody else? Yeah? If you've ever felt even a little bit out of sync with the world around you, you are in exactly the right place.
Because here's the thing. What psychology is showing us is that a lot of these so-called odd habits, they aren't bugs in your system. Not at all. They are features. They're actually sophisticated tools that your mind is using to navigate a world that, let's be honest, isn't always built for deep thinkers.
So, first, let's peel back the curtain and look at your brain's hidden operating system. Think of this as the powerful, unseen software that's running the show, dictating how you think, how you feel, and how you interact with everything.
So in this explainer, we're going to break down three core functions of this unique OS. First, how it processes information in stunning high definition. Second, how it manages and recharges its own energy. And third, how it approaches social connection, but on its own terms.
First up, let's get into the thinking process. For a mind like this, it's not just about thinking more. It's about thinking in a completely different, much higher resolution.
In psychology, this is called cognitive complexity. Now, this gets a bad rap. It's often mistaken for anxiety or being indecisive, but it's really not. It's the brain's default setting to see a situation from every possible angle, processing all the tiny details and potential consequences that most people just skim over. You're not just seeing a single problem, you're seeing the entire web it's connected to.
So with all that complex information swirling around, how does a mind like this get organized? Well, a lot of the time by talking to itself. And no, that's not a sign of being strange. It's a high-level cognitive tool. We call it verbal reasoning. When you turn those abstract thoughts into actual words, you can structure your ideas and solve problems way more efficiently. It's kind of like having a personal whiteboard built right into your brain.
Now, let's flip the script for a second. We've all met someone who speaks with just absolute, unshakable certainty, even when their logic is full of holes, right? Well, that's often the Dunning-Kruger effect in action. It's this cognitive bias where people with low ability dramatically overestimate their own skills. And this quote just nails it. They literally don't have the knowledge to see how much they're missing.
And this chart just lays out the difference perfectly. On one side, you have that Dunning-Kruger effect, right? It leads to overconfidence, closed-mindedness. But on the other side, you have intellectual humility. This is key. Highly intelligent people often doubt themselves, for a very good reason, because they are painfully aware of the sheer vastness of what they don't know. And that awareness, that's what fuels their curiosity and keeps them learning. It's a true sign of a powerful mind.
Okay, so all of that high-definition thinking, it consumes a massive amount of mental energy. So how does this kind of brain manage its battery life without crashing? It all comes down to mastering the art of the recharge.
And a major strategy here is embracing solitude. What might look like being antisocial from the outside is actually a vital cognitive function. Being alone isn't about avoiding people, it's about giving your brain the quiet, uninterrupted space it needs to do its best work. For a really sensitive nervous system, constant social buzz is just draining. Solitude, that's the charging station.
The other critical recharge, of course, is sleep. But here's the secret that most people miss. It's not about the quantity of hours, it's about the quality of your sleep cycles. Sleep science tells us our brains operate in these 90-minute cycles, moving through different stages. Waking up at the end of a cycle feels fantastic. Getting jolted awake in the middle of one, that's why you feel so groggy.
So how do you protect those precious cycles? A fantastic, practical tool is the 3-2-1 rule. It's such a simple way to send a clear signal to your brain and your body that it's time to power down. 3 hours before bed, no more heavy meals. 2 hours before, stop working. And that last hour before bed, get off all screens. This simple routine helps your brain do its job and gets you that high-quality rest you need.
All right, so you're recharged, your mental batteries are full. How does a deep-thinking mind actually approach the social world? Well, it's all about connection, but it's got to be on its own terms.
See, for a mind that's wired for depth, small talk is just, mentally excruciating. It feels like using a supercomputer to do basic addition. It's a total waste of processing power. And this is a huge reason why many deep thinkers have fewer friends. They're not avoiding relationships, they're avoiding the shallow, surface-level stuff that just feels empty. They are absolutely holding out for quality over quantity.
And this preference is really rooted in where they get their sense of self-worth. So much of society runs on external validation. Likes, comments, big birthday shout-outs. But deep thinkers often run on an internal engine. Self-validation. Their happiness comes from within because it's grounded in a strong sense of self-awareness. They don't need to post about their life to feel like it's valuable. So let's be crystal clear. Having a smaller social circle is not a sign of failure. It is very often a deliberate choice, and it's rooted in these deep psychological traits. It means you have low social dependency, you don't need others to feel whole. You have high social sensitivity, you just burn through your energy faster in groups. And you prefer quality over ritual, meaning one deep conversation is worth more than a dozen birthday parties.
Okay, let's bring this all home. It is time to stop looking at these traits as flaws and to start embracing them for what they really are. They're the core strengths of a complex and powerful inner world.
So that desk that's a total mess, but your computer files are perfectly organized? That's not messiness. That's selective organization. You're putting your finite mental energy only where it truly matters to you.
Preferring a quiet night at home over a loud party, that's not being antisocial. That's strategic energy protection for a mind that absolutely needs its downtime to recharge.
Taking a long time to make a decision? Nope, not indecisiveness. That's cognitive complexity. That's the ability to see all the hidden variables and connections that everyone else misses.
And not really caring about social media likes or big birthday celebrations, that's not detachment. That is the quiet, solid confidence that comes from self-validation.
So if you've ever felt like an outsider because of any of these traits, I want you to remember this. The path of a deep thinker can feel a little solitary sometimes, but it's often in that solitude that real strength is forged.
So I'll leave you with a final question to take with you. I want you to look at the things about yourself that make you feel different, your so-called quirks. Now, what would happen if you reframed them? What if you realized that your greatest perceived weakness is actually the source of your greatest strength? Just think about that.